No wraps, no straps, no sleeves, shit, no spotter. We're gonna see if I hit this shit, bro. As someone who can bench press 405 raw and without the use of equipment, I highly recommend a lot of you guys stop using equipment, such as elbow wraps, elbow sleeves, and obviously slingshots. If you're using slingshots and you're bragging about your bench press, we need to have a talk, right? But before we get into today's topic, if you want to learn how I increase my bench press the right way, the raw way, then here's my workout program. It's only $5, less than a Big Mac, more fulfilling. Enjoy. Getting straight into it though, I have a friend, right, who's pretty much got me into lifting, right? And we started bench pressing. This guy's strong. He's like 235 pounds. His touch and go on bench press is 405. And his pause was like 395, right? So again, this guy, he uses elbow sleeves. I'm not gonna name names. I'm gonna keep him anonymous, but he uses elbow sleeves, right? Or he used elbow sleeves. And the minute he stopped using elbow sleeves, he noticed a big hindrance in his strength when it comes to bench press. And it's funny because I remember when I started my bench press journey, and just pretty much, lifting with him, he was like, oh yeah, these are elbow sleeves I like to put on around 315, right? When the weight starts getting a lot more serious. And he would tell me, it's not really cheating. It's not cheating at all, right? It just keeps my elbows warm and it helps me feel my muscles well lubricated, right? And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But the minute he took those off and stopped training with those for a while, because I forgot what the reason was, but he just stopped training with them for a while and he noticed that his bench press was underwater, right? He noticed that 315, anything just slightly above 3 plates felt like a PR for him. It was grindy, right? And it took him about a month and a half for him to get back to his usual bench press strength, right? Without the use of elbow sleeves. Because again, he was like, dude, I feel like shit, dude. My elbows feel like they're gonna break in half just because of me not using my elbow sleeves, right? So it's like, it really got me wondering too, like, damn, how much of a hindrance is that? Or is that equipment really, right? Obviously a big one, right? If he felt like 315 was, a PR, even though this man has bench pressed well above that, like 4 plates. And then don't get me started on elbow wraps. That easily puts your bench press, like gives you a plus 50 to plus 75 pounds on your bench press, right? And that's why when I see a lot of kids who are 16, 17, who are using elbow wraps on 405, yeah, that's kind of cool in perspective, but how strong is your bench press really, right? Because again, those elbow wraps are cutting and just like, stopping circulation from your arms, right? You're pretty much just putting a lot of tension on that bench press, right? It's helping you pretty much sling that bench press up off your chest. And then again, these kids also have high arches, right? Their asses aren't even on the fucking bench. So minus points for that as well. Yeah, it really takes away the fact on how really strong you are. And that's why, as someone who benches raw, I highly advocate for people to not use equipment, especially for the first year or two into the gym, right? Know what you're doing, know how strong you really can be without the use of equipment. And then after you get a little comfortable, then yeah, go ahead, dude, just slap on some elbow sleeves, or some even wrist straps, right? I can agree with the wrist straps because as someone who was bench pressing for the first time, the first 3 to 4 months, my wrists were on fire, right? It went away after I bench pressed some more, right? Which is crazy. So, I could recommend that for a while, but it's like, dude, at least see what your natural potential is without the use of equipment, what your raw, pure strength is, right? I guess I'm old school, old fashioned. I really like just relying on my strength without the use of equipment. I just want to see how strong I actually am. It could be an ego thing, and I'm fine with that, right? Because when I post a video, me bench pressing 405, that's me bench pressing 405, right? You don't see me with goblin gear, goblin wraps, or sleeves, or a freaking slingshot, bro. And then me bragging about how strong I was, right? I can 100% attest to the people who were like, oh yeah, I bench pressed 405 back in the day, that they were fully equipped, right? Because I'm like, there's no way your beer belly ass was bench pressing 405 back in your day, right? It's just very hard to believe. But again, like, I highly advocate for a lot of people to, if you're gonna lift and bench press or become a bench press specialist, like try to do it raw for at least a year, right? Or as long as possible, right? See what you can really do. See how much your body can actually handle or that amount of weight, right? Before slapping on gear, right? Or slapping on equipment and really just hindering yourself in the process, right? Because after you're like, okay, I'm entering competition where they really don't allow elbow wraps or elbow sleeves at all. So we're going to see how much I can do. And the next thing you know, right, your PR, let's say is like 375, 385, right? But you get in the competition, you have 315, they tell you to pause that shit, and then you fucking fall and like you don't even fall, you just die and collapse under pressure, right? Because 315 for you is just like, holy shit, this feels like 405, right? And you've never even touched 405 in your life. This is weight is so heavy, this is what you assume it to be, right? Just because of the use of equipment, right? It is hindering you, and it will put you at a big disadvantage when it comes to like powerlifting meets, right? So again, 100% recommend you lifting for a year without the use of equipment, just trying to test your natural ability, your raw strength, and see where it puts you, right? Again, if you have wrist problems like I did in the beginning, I'd kind of recommend, just working out your brachioradialis, or working out your forearms, do your wrist flexors, or just keep bench pressing more. Like that's what I did to increase my bench press strength. But if it still bothers you, just slap on some wrist stuff. But it kind of irritates me when I see people who are like lifting with like goblin wraps and who are bragging about their bench press, right? And again, their ass is off the bench. And it's like, dude, you can't do this amount of weight with perfect form on probably 225, right? Yeah, I don't know. It's just very bothersome to me, right? If you guys enjoyed the content though and want to see more, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I really appreciate you guys. You guys have a good day.